What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is February 11th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you are having a great day wherever you are, and today we've got a good range of topics to discuss for both crypto and traditional markets. Starting off with crypto, we'll not only be taking a look over the overall market, but also diving into a few headlines in regards to the SEC setting a framework for ICOs, as well as developments in the Philippines for ATM infrastructure. And last but not least, for traditional markets, we're going to keep it quite simple and take a brief overview of what we're expecting over the coming days for both equities and a wide range of commodities that we watch here on the channel. So we've got lots to discuss. Let's not push it off any longer and dive right into the update. Now, I want to let you all know real quickly, if you haven't seen already, I'm going to be speaking at NEO DevCon in Seattle. It's coming up in about 5 days. You guys can still get tickets, and not to mention, I have a discount code down below. So if you guys can make it, really would love it. Actually, I haven't been to Seattle yet, so I'm very excited, and there's a lot of great speakers as well. So definitely check them out if you're interested. Alrighty, so going on to the past 24 hours here, you can see the obvious player is obviously at the top. Bittorrent is continuing its rally at the moment. Again, as I've told you guys, I have my doubts with this, but at the same time, I can see, in a sense, utility for the token. But I'm very off-put by this and the way that it was launched. So again, not trying to promote it by any means, but at the moment, Bittorrent is one of the few outliers here. For the most part, most cryptocurrencies are quite neutral at the moment. Volatility is still really low in this market. Outside of that, Dash and Holochain are really picking up, so Holochain might be continuing a little bit of its trend here, reaching maybe a slightly lower high. And I'm happy to see Dash picking up a little bit here, but I still think Dash is going to come down a little bit lower. We talked about it in our live stream yesterday. If you guys didn't get to see that, feel free to go check it out. But basically, we talked about Dash going down to its long-term uptrend line. It's one of my alts that I'm going to be watching when we go into the next cycle, but we're not there just yet. Really like what they're doing development-wise. Alrighty, so taking a look here at market cap, if we take a look over the past 30 days here, with the rebound we got the other day, the huge green rebound we got in cryptocurrencies, which made up a good few weeks worth of downward price action. We're now back in the $120 billion range here for cryptocurrency market cap. And I'll be fair, guys, as much as this is good, unless we really have a breakout above here, I would say to about 123 or 124 billion, that gets clearly over any highs we have here in the short term. I'm not going to bet on another rally just yet. So I'm remaining patient. I don't think there was much fundamentals behind the rally the other day. Some of it was off of some SEC speculation. You can see I'm not even going to talk about that. The thing I'm talking about today is something completely different for the ICOs. In regards to the ETF, that's what the rumor is about. I'm not going to do that, guys. You know, I think the SEC is definitely open to finding some new routes for a Bitcoin ETF. But the thing is, it's going to have to be a proposal from someone else, right? It's going to have to be an outlier, like a third some kind of company, in this case, developing a Bitcoin ETF. So we'll see. Maybe some of this as well was because of Mimblewimble. You know, again, we can try to pin basically all these little points as to what caused this. In regards to Mimblewimble, I was referring to Litecoin, basically potentially partnering with Beam and working towards implementing the technology and making it a privacy coin. We don't know, guys. More than anything, this market is moved by very little volume, right? So we have to take it with a grain of salt. Now, one thing I do like is seeing Bitcoin dominance almost looks like it had a clear third top here, lower than the previous two tops on Bitcoin dominance. And it looks like we might potentially, if we can get again, as I mentioned above, that market capitalization of 123, 124 billion, and Bitcoin continues, this is going to start dropping quite quick, and it's going to be a time where we might want to see some risk taking in the market. But again, we're getting weighed down by the same indicators, the 50-day, that we got weighed down by before. And we'll take a look at that as we go through some TA. I got XLM up real quick. This was one that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not going to do much altcoin analysis today, but really talking about one that I want to watch here over the next few weeks. I have not put a trade on XLM just yet, but I've been talking about this for a while between our newsletter and everything, and this is something that I'm continuing to wait for. We're waiting to see XLM come down to this lower range, touching one of these lines of support, but this is one that I think will be really interesting to watch going into a potential altcoin cycle, because unlike a lot of players in the space that have started to go up comparative to Bitcoin, this one has continued to deplete, and it hasn't even reached back down to its December levels, and that's what I'm generally waiting for here. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Go ahead on Coinbase here. Now, with the jump up we got the other day, volume was obviously standout. It wasn't, you know, monstrous volume, not to mention for the price range we're at now compared to what we were getting up here at a much higher price range. But along with that, we're still getting weighed down by the 50-day. We've had 2 extra days to try to test up here, and we keep getting rejected. And we have petty volume here, 5,000 Bitcoin here on Coinbase. Of course, if you take a look at the broader exchanges, right, you'll get a bigger picture, but volume has not really been increasing. You're getting a little bit more trading in altcoins, and I think that comes with Binance and Bittorrent and a lot of the hype going around right now around those tokens. So keeping that in mind, there really just isn't much traction at the moment, and I think we need to factor that in at the moment. So if we take a look at the hourly, you can see here again, making lower levels on average. So we're going to have to, see some volume. We're going to have something give here, and it really doesn't look like it's coming just yet. So if this continues to play out like we've seen historically, where the 50-day has been a point of resistance, then in this case, it looks like we're going to roll back over and come back down to this range, which I honestly believe would be healthy. The RSI would look much better for a buy. We would have a double bottom in the market. That would be really nice to see. And then from there, I'd be willing to take some good risk, but I just don't know if we're going to get it just yet. So if you get a close above the 50-day, then we're going to be signaling probably for a nice little period of altcoins to rally, but nothing serious or substantial in that sense for the long term. That's going to need more confirmations and indicators. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about these ICO guidelines that we discussed earlier that the SEC is finally putting together. It's something that's been in the works supposedly since all the way back in March I think it was actually March of, it was either 2018, I think they have it here in the article, back all the way since March. And basically, since March of last year. The SEC has basically been trying to provide a framework. It's been trying to play catch up with this sector of raising capital that is completely foreign and new to the way that they've seen capital being raised before, where things were very controlled, where people were easily in the know of having to file for securities registration. In this case, they've seen this new token model with all these different definitions, with all these different forms of utility and value supposedly behind them, and they just don't know how to keep up with it as people have been raising ICOs. So they're now setting a framework here to make it very clear so that ICOs in this case can follow some kind of framework. And again, they've reiterated that this is going to be coming sometime over the next few months, most likely. Now, this is basically something that was reiterated from one of the SEC commissioners in this case, who's been very pro-crypto. And I like this quote right here because I think it really defines the current situation and in the sense of spotting maybe value in what these tokens can be, but understanding the important message overall. While these digital assets and the technology behind them may present a new and efficient means for carrying out financial transactions, they also bring increased risk of fraud and manipulation because the markets for these assets are less regulated than traditional capital markets. Now, guys, I understand it is very, very common for people to say, like, it's not the SEC's business. Regulators need to get out of this. It's my business. I should be able to invest in what I want. And you know what? In the sense of the argument for accredited versus retail investors, I 100% agree. You should have every right to invest in an equal opportunity that an accredited investor has. That being realized, what this quote is stating is that these ICOs, many of which of these ICOs were conducted in markets that are much less regulated, are doing very shady practices. I don't think you guys need me to explain to you that the vast majority of ICOs have failed, not to mention many of them are huge schemes in the grand scheme of things. So it's important for us to have filtering mechanisms and some kind of framework that the SEC can establish, even though I bet it's way behind, but something that can provide that framework. The problem I have with all of this is that I really don't think it's going to be that effective in the sense what the SEC's proposed, because this has been in the works for a while. And I went to the website the other day that they put up basically covering some of these things. And it's just all generic things. ICOs can be security offerings. They may need to be registered. Tokens sold in ICOs can be called many things, such as utility tokens. Yeah, most of this stuff is like already known. And it's very imperative that we have a solid framework coming that actually starts to establish what is a security in this case, what types of ICOs are there, and how can I align what my project is to one of these frameworks so I can be compliant, but also propose the true utility of what I'm going to be able to offer my clients, right? If I were to do an ICO. So again, I just think a lot of these regulatory agencies, they always fall behind, and it's going to take another probably year or two before we get anything really solid. And that's why I'm iffy on the ICO model. I think, honestly, the ICO model has just a lot of flaws at the moment because it's so undefined. And, again, I think that people were simply investing in them just to speculate outside of a few good projects. But again, it's what I see a worry in this case. And I think that having STOs is a good filler for now, but it doesn't work with a lot of these decentralized systems. That's what I have an issue with, or a little bit of a worry with. But I think in securitizing assets, it's a great use of a token model in this case. So that's what I'm excited about a little bit. Going on to taking a look at the Philippines here, I'm very passionate about seeing adoption in Southeast Asia, just generally in Asia and abroad, and emerging markets. And the Philippines is a great example of this. I actually saw, when I was going through the Philippines, there was a variety of ATMs everywhere because everyone's still in a cash-based economy. And it's good to see that now one of the major Filipino banks, Union Bank, has actually partnered. I think it's actually not just Union Bank. They partnered with another central, like Filipino bank in this case, or not their central bank, but a bank that's based there. They did a partnership to launch a two-way crypto ATM. So this is really exciting stuff. And if you go through here, I think it says, major Philippines bank. Oh, so it is just simply Union Bank in this case. And basically, they launched on February 6th. And the whole activity basically here is quite exciting because this is actually a well-respected bank. This is one that processes billions of dollars in volume each year in transactions and brings in a net profit of around $148 million. So really good to see this from at least some kind of institutional perspective of seeing that there's a valuable market for this cash-based economy. And not to mention as well, there's a lot of people as well that are unbanked. And this actually fixes a big problem. When people want to do business, they have a really big problem settling in cash because they don't have a place to store it, right? They don't have a bank to store their money. And it's in these developing economies, that's very difficult to not have a safe place for your money, not to mention to not have the opportunity to move that money around and invest. Well, with these ATMs, if there's one nearby, you can do cash business. You can go to the ATM whenever you have the time or within a 2 to 3 day period. You can cash it in for Bitcoin. And then from there, you can manage it on your mobile phone, right? You can have your own personal bank. Now, obviously, Bitcoin's a little bit volatile. I can tell you the Filipino peso is not much better. And not to mention, you get the features of having your own bank, and you can also put it into stable coins, right? So that's the really cool part about this is when you have this infrastructure, it actually helps a lot of people get unbanked in this case. Whether, even in this case, there's a third party in this case, and yes, you're going through the ATM, but after you have your Bitcoin, it's your Bitcoin, right? And then you can become your own bank. And I think that that's very valuable to a lot of people in the Philippines and a lot of emerging market economies. So good to see this, good to see actual real development going on in the space and real infrastructure being built out. All right, guys, so the last thing we're going to be taking a look at is equities and commodities. The one thing that I want to talk about with the NASDAQ is it's doing everything that the bulls need right now. Have to be fair here. Even though the RSI is getting close to the overbought range, we're holding on the line of resistance, a support. We got the rebound the other day right off that line. I'll even drag it out a little bit further to make it clear. So with this, with pre-market trading up around 33, is like 33% for the NASDAQ, I think what you're going to get is a continued retest up here to the highs, and you're either going to get rejected here exactly at 7,400, or you're going to get a break above here. If you close above the 200-day, it's going to be a continued rally back up to the highs, in my opinion. Now, I have a hard time, the reason I can say that in that case, has a bear right now. The reason why I can say that is because monetary policy has taken a 180 reversal. That not only goes with foreign banks in Japan and China, but the Fed seems to be completely open to stagnating rates, if not lowering them. And along with that, completely freezing the tapering of the balance sheet and or potentially adding more to it. Now that's again kind of like the same with reducing rates. That's a very, unlikely scenario, but it could happen at this point with the shock that markets had back in December. I think the Fed's going to think twice before they make any serious moves and continue that slow pace of tapering like they've done, because I think they know it's the only way they can do it without causing serious disruption. So what am I looking for here? Well, take a look back here in December. I'm basically looking for something like this where, for example, we've been able to recover for the month, and every time we start to come back up above here to the previous high, in this case, we're going to get a nice relief rally where volatility is very low and price continues higher. I think that's what's going to happen here. We're going to have a nice steady rally here back up to the highs if you can get close above the 200-day. I'll be fair, guys. I'm still indifferent at this point, but it's a matter of the 200 days. So just I'd say wait for it, because the bigger move is there in that case, if it does get above the 200 day. And if we get rejected here, we go back down and there's a shorting opportunity in that case, at least in my eyes. And I'm going to definitely be playing either way, depending on what happens. So I'm waiting for that catalyst. We're in the twilight zone right now. We wait for it to show us what direction it wants to pick. And I think that 200 days is holding a lot of weight here. So anyways, I'd like to hear what you guys think about that down below in the comments. And we'll also take a look here at gold. Now gold right now still doing what it needs to do, holding here on the wedge. No serious rally just yet. I think it's waiting for a pullback in equities. And if equities start to pull back, again, if we get that double top on the NASDAQ in that case, then definitely I think gold's going to start picking up. Along with that, let's take a look at silver. Silver right now still holding on the uptrend line. I want to see it continue to hold this. Really hope it will continue at this case, because it's not overbought right now and it can continue to move higher here. And I think it needs to get back up to this range around $17. This is where we saw resistance 2 times, and build the base up here at previous support, which served as resistance right here at around the $16 range. So that's what I'm looking for there for silver. And last but not least, we'll take a look at URA. Excuse me, I accidentally typed in UR with the caps lock. And in this case, URA doing what we need to see. Now, right now, currently pre-market, it's showing a little bit down right now, nothing too far, but you want to see it hold along this 200 day and start to cup up and break out higher. That's what I'd like to see on URA. Love to know what you guys think down below in the comments, but one thing that's really pitting me is the fact that we hit the RSI in the overbought range and we have like no volume coming in. So that's not exciting to see. If we take a look at the monthly here, volume has been tapering off as we got closer to the wedge. And now that we've broken out, you know, that's a really pitiful set of volume, to be fair. So again, I'm hoping we can see something, guys. I really wish this technical indicator would lead to a breakout, and we might need to see this break above, say, for example, the 50-month, which is coming down here. Maybe some of these long-term indicators, we need to get a good month or two of green action, and then volume will start to stack up as we see higher ranges of price. So that means that if you believe something like that could happen, I would say so long as this holds in the 200 day, I'm going to remain confident on it. And, you know, from there, it's just a matter of patience and continuing to see the uranium spot price get up. I think it needs to get well above $30. We need to have a good breakout month where it's up $4 or $5 per pound. And we haven't seen that yet. So remaining patient on that. Outside of that, everyone, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have anything we didn't discuss in the daily update, please leave it down in the comments down below. Or if you have anything you'd like to add, definitely leave it down, start a discussion, and I can't wait to hear from you guys and hopefully be able to respond as well if you have any questions. But outside of that, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all are having a great start to your week, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.